organization that you're working with that's 100 years old, um, as companies try to add more products and services to their line,
Mm-hmm.
how do you make sure that the the things that you've done well, the things that you've sort of hinged your entire business on, that they don't lose any efficiency or any effectiveness while you venture out to more different products and services that are a little bit outside of that initial wheelhouse.
So if I understand correctly, it means that if we are successful with, say, 10 products, we have been for many years, we need to make sure that we continue to monitor, measure, ask questions along the way, visualize anything to confirm that we're continuing to win and what that means. And then I'm going to jump into, I don't know if we've talked about this, more process ownership concept. Again, this is very foundational. It's boring and not sexy. But when you define who owns and who is ultimately accountable for whatever that product or service is, you're always going to go back and ask them, how's it going? Are you hitting your goals? Show me. Right. And they're responsible to make sure it happens. And they have implemented the structure or people and how-tos to continue that. And then when you want to branch off, you either have to, if you're using the same exact people, understand that they don't have the same time to dedicate, right, to their old product or service. Are you hiring new? Who's going to be responsible for the new items? And I know when I work with kind of startups transitioning into more of a not startup anymore. They've got funding, they've got customers, they've got investors and everything. But moving into that more ongoing business model, we need to visualize those processes and understand that when it grows, sometimes those processes have to get split in two, and two different people are going to own it, right? Or you own the first half and someone else is going to own the second half. But those are intentional decisions based on monitoring your growth.
Yeah.
And confirming what that is. And I do actually have a template that I've been using with a couple people to fill out. And they're like, oh, it's not quite pulling teeth, but I'm like, we have to do this. You want
Yeah.
to make this, I wouldn't say flawless, but you want to make it very smooth. You want to communicate and gain buy-in with your people.
Yeah.
This is how you do it, or this is one way to do it.
I think accountability. I, I think accountability is really, everybody wants transparency, but that everyone doesn't want accountability, right? When you
Mm-hmm.
give projects and you give things for people to own,
Mm-hmm.
it we can, we're not blaming you, Jen. We just are trying to figure, okay, well, what happened? Why didn't we hit the mark? Why didn't we hit this
Right.
deadline? Why are we, paying, why is this project not on time?
Yep.
From my standpoint, even in the insurance industry, one of the things that we do is we have sort of this service calendar where we say, okay, um, here are here are the 10 things that we know right now needs to be done this quarter.
Mm-hmm.
These things belong to myself and my team. These things belong to you
Mm-hmm.
and
Yep.
your team, right? And that helps us make sure that there's no miscommunication as far as who needs to do what. And if we need to add things, we'll add things, but we can't add things without assigning them and
Right.
signing them an owner,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
It's that project management aspect is so important because you don't just throw something on someone's plate. It may seem it's in theory it may just seem like one more thing, but that one more thing can pull everything else out of alignment, right?
Mm-hmm.
That transparency is like, yeah, it's really you can't, yeah, you gotta be accountable for stuff. No one's gonna just tell you what they're accountable for, and I think in organizations everybody needs to own a piece of it. Again, it goes back to that buy-in and that why. So
Mhm.
everybody feels like they're a part of the success. And if there's room for improvement, then everybody feels like they can help kind of reset and realign everyone, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I obviously look on how I was raised and my with my parents. There was accountability that I had to do things and follow up on. And I know I was fortunate enough to work for Toyota in college and then right out of college. And they built an accountability without fear. Um, you knew you were going to be asked if you missed your goal, and you better have an answer of why you didn't hit it and what you're going to do next. But you owned it, and
Yeah.
you were given the ownership to own it as well. And again, back to that process ownership, we knew where we fell. We also knew where other people picked up and took. So it wasn't like, I'm done here. I don't know what's next. No, there was clear, we understood how that process flowed through the entire business. So there was
Yeah.
ongoing consensus gathering, there was teamwork. You lose, I win, the whole company wins, right? And or I lose, you win, the whole company wins, depending on what the ratio is. So but that's hard. I mean, that's leaders embedding it, displaying it, constantly reinforcing it.
Yeah.